Okay. So anyway, kung kailangan nyo, na-record ko yung kanina. So kung kailangan nyo yung part before nito, pwede nyo namang i-request na lang sa akin sa email. Pero itong point na to lang ang na-record ko. So kaya nga mamaya, explain ko, kailangan ng bidden. So tuloy natin. So required readings, ito yung number 1. Pre-calculus by De Las Peñas, Francisco Marcelo de Editors. And also the study notes I posted online. Yun nga yung modules. Practice exercises, magbibigay din tayo dyan to be distributed. Pero yung modules ko, nilagyan ko na rin ng practice exercises. And then some suggested readings. Now, since you won't be able to buy the book, the physical book, so there's an e-book, and i-forward ko sa Beadle natin or dyan sa announcements na lang ilalagay ko kung paanong mabili yung e-book. Hindi ko nga alam kung bakit kailangan bilhin yung e-book dahil kapag may bumiling isa, pwede lang i-share, no? But anyway, so may e-book tayo na pwedeng bilhin. And then, yan na yung grading system. Alam nyo na yan. If you want an A in this course, you just need 92% of the total possible score or maximum possible score. So, limbawa, kunyari lang, 1,000 points lahat ito, then 92% doon, you need 920 points out of 1,000. So, 80 mistakes kung ayaw mong bumaba sa A. And to pass, you just need 50%. So, if it's 1,000 points, you get 500 out of 1,000, you pass. Now, kung bilang ang target mo, nandiyan naman 77% noon. So, 770 out of 1,000 ang kailangan mo to get a B. And then, ito yung importante nating tatalakayin, yung class policies. So, Canvas ang gagamitin natin. Yun lang naman yung sinasabi sa number 1. Kung hindi ka ba familiar, yon may mga link dyan. Okay? And then, for number 2, kung may problema lang naman sa pag-access, kagaya na kung ginagamit mo daw MacBook or iPad, ayan, merong link dyan para matulungan ka. And then the modules number 3 will be available. Nandun naman na sa Canvas, so hindi na natin basahin ito. Number 4, the materials posted in our Canvas course are meant for our course only. Wag i-share sa iba, sabi dyan, sa anumang website, social media, o mga estudyanteng hindi naka-enroll. 5, all class announcements will be posted in Canvas. Be aware of all deadlines and schedules. Minsan, yung Beadle pwedeng mag-post yan sa GC. Magpapagawa ko ng GC sa class. Number 6, use the appropriate discussion board in Canvas for questions. Yung pinakita ko, ito yon. Click nyo lang yung discussion. Tapos add discussion, ito, this icon. When you click on that icon, pakaalam nyo rin naman, ayan. You can write down your comment, your question, or your reply. You can also reply to the discussion thread. And then you just save. Okay, and then sa consultation, you have to set an appointment. Okay, through email, 1 day in advance. And as much as possible, find another student who can be with you during the consultation. So, nandyan na sa syllabus yung email ko. Papakita ko mamaya. Number 7, when posting in discussion boards, please give your question, comment, response some thought. Avoid lengthy responses. Maging concise lang. Do not click post reply unless you have carefully reviewed your message. It is all right to disagree as long as we do so in a reasonable and civil manner. And of course, may basis to justify the disagreement. Pag-isipang mabuti yung ipopost. Okay? And then on assessments, while taking the quizzes, the students are expected to work independently. Bawal ang cheating, syempre. Although madali ang cheating dahil online. Okay, you are not allowed to communicate with anyone else. Okay? And mamaya, bigay ko yung tungkol sa cheating. Pero ito, sa number 2, bigyan nyo ako ng 2 days mag-reply kapag na-receive ko yung mga emails nyo tsaka posts nyo, and mag-correct ng quizzes 2 weeks. Okay? Tapos kung may mali sa checking, you have 2 days upon return of the quizzes, may 2 days ka para mag-report ng corrections. So number 3, yung grade sa Canvas, hindi yun official kaya mas maganda keep record of your scores. Now on synchronous sessions, ito yung mga rules natin nandun naman mamaya, pakita ko sa baba yung mga days of synchronous or live sessions. Pero sabi dyan, optional lang yung synchronous sessions. Pero mas maganda kung lalo na nahihirapan kayong intindihin yung handouts o yung textbook, mag-attend kayo. So lalo na daw yung first session, which is ito naman yon. So all sessions will be done via Zoom. Link is already posted. Yun pa rin, ito pa rin ang gagamitin naman. So hindi na kailangang isulat no, sa announcements. So they will be recorded, so students who cannot attend the session can watch the video later. So here are the rules. Stay in a quiet place as much as possible. Siyempre, pwede mo namang i-mute, pero ikaw din yung mahirapan kung maingay. You can use a headphone or earphone if it will help. Or you can buy a Bluetooth speaker if you want to. Be in the waiting room at least 5 minutes before the scheduled session. I encourage you to show yourself on the camera at least at the start of the meeting or when you are speaking. Wear appropriate attire. Bawal nakasando Have proper lighting and look into the camera. Keep your microphone off unless when you have permission to speak. If you want to speak, send a chat message in the chat box and wait until you are called. Others, students are expected to exercise the highest level of academic integrity. Yan na nga, cheating, plagiarism, wala naman siguro, wala namang projects, Discourtesy, misbehavior will not be tolerated and will be dealt with as stipulated in the student handbook. Ateneo de Manila University does not discriminate, okay, on the basis of sex, gender, etc. Number 3, before the first scheduled class period on November 5, all students are requested to access the course in Canvas. Read Module 0 and fulfill all requirements expected in the module. Now, anybody would like to volunteer as a BDEL, you will make a GC for the class, alternative platforms kung meron pa, Facebook page, o ewan ko kung gagawa pa ako ng Google Classroom para sa mga videos natin kasi hindi yata kaya ng cloud ng Canvas yung mga videos. Kung kasya sa YouTube i-upload, baka ibigay ko na lang yung YouTube link. So of course, the BDEL will serve as a mediator or liaison between the class and the instructor. So kung meron akong announcements, pwede kong padaanin sa kanya, i-post sa GC para agad mabasa. Or may i-upload na mga review materials sa GC. Remind the instructor to record synchronous class sessions. Yun na nga, nakalimutan ko kanina. Thank you. Report class concerns to the department chair and school dean. Bawa, nag-deviate sa syllabus, hindi makontak yung instructor, hindi na nagpapakita online yung instructor, ganyan. Behave properly in class and be quiet in our live sessions. So yan yung email ko, consultation hours, 3 to 4 p.m. MWF. hidaya@ateneo.edu. And then nandun na rin sa additional notes yung mga live sessions natin. Meron tayong isang Thursday lang sa December 3. Sakali lang naman kailanganin. So tentative pa yan. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. For the rest, puro MWF yan. Nakita nyo naman. And then wala naman pasok sa December 8, pero Tuesday naman yon, so we won't be affected. Feast of Immaculate Conception. Kusin lang. Now, sinong may tanong bago ko itakel yung first module? Mabilis lang yung first module. Dalawang example, isang sheet work, and then naka-record, kaya pwede mong aralin. Hindi kasi tayo on-site, kaya medyo iba yung approach natin dito. Hindi ganun ka-well, fully detailed lagi lahat ng mga solution at discussion, kasi talagang aaralin nyo para sa sarili ninyo yung mga discussion natin sa class.
Hi,
What's the
sir.
question?
I have a question.
Yes.
We can't see the modules po.
Yes, I know. Gagawan ko ng paraan, hindi ko alam kung bakit, pero in-unlock ko na siya eh. Nung October 23 pa dapat na-access yon. So I don't know why. Pero once we have a BDEL, I can also upload it sa ating GC para mabilis ma-view at ma-download. So who would like to be a BDEL? Mr. Christian Sarabia, ikaw yung unang-unang nag-email sa akin na student. Sa'yo ko nalaman na hindi pala, wala pala tayong passcode. Kasi ano to, shared account ito. Kaya hindi ko pwedeng i-change yung nagre-require siya ng passcode. So sorry for that. Ikaw ang BDEL, ha? You try to communicate with your fellow classmates and make a group chat for the class. Include me.
Okay, sir.
Kahit hindi na, kung ayaw, mas magandang hindi, para may privacy kayo dyan. Maganda kasi doon, direct ko siyang ma-send yung mga materials lang kung nandun ako. Otherwise, email ko sa iyo yung, halimbawa, ito nga, yung module na hindi ma-access, and then ikaw na mag-upload sa GC or sa anumang platform na gusto nyo gamitin.
Okay,
Pero
sir.
Canvas ang official natin, lahat ng announcements ko na official nandoon. Okay, Mr. Sarabia, okay, thank you. Okay, so let's discuss module 1. Actually, yung aking modules, yun na rin yung aking gagamiting pang natin, tawag dito, class discussion natin sa synchronous. Siyempre, tinabasan lang. So, kung hindi nyo maintindihan din, itong ating synchronous, nandun yung handouts, may mas detailed yung explanation doon. So, module 1, marami tayong tinanggal. Tinanggal na yung absolute value, mga linear inequalities. So, we will just be dealing with polynomial and rational inequalities. So, here, if you already know the table of signs method, actually, madadalian ka na dito. But I will be teaching the sign chart method as an alternative to the table of signs method. But if you're more comfortable with the table of signs, then use it, okay? But this one is more efficient and more compact to use because you only need one real line to do everything, unlike with the table of signs. Especially if there are a lot of factors, then you might be doing a lot of columns and rows there for your table of signs. But for example here, suppose we want to solve the inequality x plus 2 times 1 minus x is greater than 0. All we have to do is find the critical numbers, plot them on the real line, and then choose a test number for each subinterval. Of course, when you plot the critical numbers, they will be dividing the real line to several subintervals. Now, what are the critical numbers? The critical numbers are those numbers that make the function either 0 or undefined. So, for example, for our given function here, it has no denominator. It has, of course, it's over 1. But since 1 cannot be 0, so for this to be 0 or undefined, you have to equate the numerator to 0. Now, of course, if there's a denominator below, like over 3 minus x times x minus 5, you also have to equate those to 0. So for now, with this quadratic inequality, we will be just equating the two factors present there to 0, getting negative 2 and 1 as critical numbers. So equate x plus 2 to 0, 1 minus x to 0. And then pick a test number for each sub-interval. So take the leftmost interval, negative infinity to negative 2. Take any number there, excluding the endpoint. So the smallest whole number is negative 3. You can choose any. It will yield the same sign as a result, okay? After the substitution. So for example, let's pick negative 3 for this interval. Plug in negative 3 here. So negative 3 plus 2, 1 minus negative 3. Dito pinalagin yon. You'll get the sign as negative. The exact numerical value is unimportant. So you just need the sign. So negative times positive is negative. So we put a negative sign. And then similarly for the middle interval, negative 2, 1, pick any number there, preferably a whole number. 0 is the most convenient to use. If there's no whole number, then use a fraction. So doing this, plugging in 0, the test number for this function, 0 plus 2, 1 minus 0 equals 2. So positive times positive is positive. So it's positive there. One more time, pick a test number for the last interval here, 2. So pinili ko yung 2, plug in 2 in here, this function, 2 plus 2, 1 minus 2 is positive and negative. So negative siya. So nilagyan natin ng negative dito. So the order of signs from left to right is negative, positive, tsaka negative para malinaw. Okay, minus, plus, minus, naga-alternate. So now the solution set is negative 2, 1. Open interval. Why? Because the inequality requires it, look at this one, to be strictly greater than 0. So bawal yung 0, bawal yung negative. So that means we have to exclude the critical numbers because the function is 0 there at those critical numbers. So we use parentheses to indicate that. So negative 2 and 1 are not part of the solution. And since it's positive here only, so that's the only interval we put in our solution set. So negative 2, 1. So ito yung final answer. Your answer should always be in interval notation. Are there any questions? Okay, solve this inequality now. It's a rational inequality. What is a rational function? It's a ratio of two polynomial functions. So the numerator is a polynomial, quadratic polynomial. The denominator is also a polynomial. It's a linear polynomial. So this is a rational function. And therefore, this is a rational inequality. So let's solve that using the table of signs method. Sign chart method. So again, critical numbers. So there, the sign chart is already given, but let's explain. So how did we get the critical numbers, negative 2, 1, 4? From the factors here along the numerator and denominator. So equate the numerator to 0. You get 2, namely negative 2 and 4. And then equate the denominator as well. You get 1 critical number, 1. So there are 3 in all. So shown in on the sign chart there, negative 2, ito yon, 1, and 4. Now notice I used solid circles or points to denote, or for the critical numbers to denote that we have zeros at those critical numbers. Kasi nasa numerator. So nagzi-zero siya kapag pinalagin. Or pwede ring lagyan nyo na lang ng 0 on top. And then notice a hollow circle dito to indicate that it's not defined there, or you can just put ND on top of it. Kasi kinat and paste ko lang ito sa Google Images. Wala akong makita na ayokong i-handwrite eh. So, nahirapan ako kaya no choice akong gamitin ito. Pero mamaya sa Seatwork, papakita ko yung ginagawa ko talaga. So again, solid point indicates 0 there, hollow point undefined there. So solution set, once you've picked test numbers and plug them in and determined the signs, this should be the order: negative, positive, negative, positive. Okay? Now, looking at the sense of the inequality, it's less than or equal to 0. So we include the zeros this time. So what are the zeros? 2 and 4. So parte sila ng solution. But the sign has to be negative. So kunin natin yung negative yung sign chart. So negative infinity to 2, including 2, and this interval 1, 4, excluding 1, including 4. So open at 1, closed at 4. 1 is not part of the solution because the function is undefined there. It's not in the domain. Who has a question? By the way, in the module, there are practice exercises, as I have said. So yan yon. You may want to take a screenshot now para pwede mong i-work out ito mamaya kasi nga hindi ma-access pa yung modules. And this is the Seatwork. So I'll give you 5 to 10 minutes to work this out. So relax lang. And then ipapakita ko mamaya yung solution. And kung may tanong, pwedeng magtanong ngayon. Okay. Muted. Okay. Yung I button na sinasabi ng isa, hindi, kahit click ko siya, pumapasok lang ako ulit doon sa modules. So tingnan ko kung sa laptop baka iba ang ano. Okay, ito yung, I already put the solution here. This is the sign chart. Makikita ba? Plus, plus, minus, plus. So paki-chat na lang kung nakuha nyo yan. Yung iba nagbigay ng answers, tama yung iba. Napansin ko lang, mali yung set notation na ginamit. Ito yung symbol na gagamitin, brackets. Ano ba to? Brackets ba tawag dito? Braces. Bracket yata, no? Ito ba yung brace? Ito yung bracket. Anyway, basta yan yun, yung itsura na yan. Hindi kasama yung -3 because it's ND there. It's in the denominator. Bawal mag-0 yung denominator, di ba? You cannot divide by 0, it's undefined. And then, you have to include the zeros. So that means -5 is part of the solution. And since it's an isolated point, you have to use set notation to denote that. And then, of course, the lone interval with negative sign, -3 to 7/2, open at -3, closed at 7/2. So again, to get the proper signs, you have to pick a test number for each subinterval. Just be careful with your substitution. Okay, by the way, one wrong sign might cost you the whole problem. So that would be it for today, Mr. Sarabia. I emailed you module 1 just in case it's still inaccessible in Canvas. Just forward it to the class and as soon as possible, make a GC for the class. Okay, so that would be it for today. See you on Friday. Okay, I will be ending the session now.
Thank you, sir.